Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone's having a good weekend. Today is Saturday, September 30th. That's right, it is the last day of September, and I am really just wanting to get to October already. I only have one host right now, one of my co-hosts right now, and that is my resident Kanakistani from Soviet Kanakistan, Dale. Say hello, Dale.
Bonjour tout le monde, comment ça va? In all seriousness, hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the show. I am coming to you live from the icy lands of Northrend, by which I mean Montreal. A joke for those of you in the know. If you know, you know. We have a very interesting show for you today. We will be going over the rise and fall of a interestingly named YouTuber, one Miss Illuminaughtii, but not Illuminaughtii, right? That's the joke. Other than that, we have a few other interesting things to get to. As usual, one of us saw something on Twitter and that pissed them off, and we're gonna go over that as well. It's very important to air out our grievances on Twitter because fuck those assholes. Um, And soon, at least from what I have heard, it won't just be me joining. We also have Molly, my resident Serbian friend, coming to us hopefully soon, as from what she said, should be soon, coming all the way from Belgrade, Serbia, the capital of Serbia. Um, Great country. Great
Oh,
for some people, but maybe not all people.
a
Oh,
great country,
there's
my
Molly.
ass. Hi, Molly.
Perf-
Our resident
Perfect
Serbian.
timing.
Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Molly. I introduced myself.
Hello, Molly.
Yes, hello.
We were
Okay.
literally just talking about you and speculating on when you were going
Why
to
are you
arrive,
talking
and then
behind my back? What the fuck?
because you're late. We'd be talking to your face if you were here.
Hello?
Hello.
We actually ran the intro song
Dale?
twice because I've got bread that needed to bake, and I slightly. It's
Yeah.
just slightly darker than it needs to be.
Yeah.
And does what were you doing to correct that? Is that like you leave it in longer, or is it just permanently more
It's
darkened?
just permanently darkened. I
Oh,
can't fix it.
oh,
Molly, where the fuck did you go?
oh. So she came in just to at the perfect time and then leave. Like George Costanza from Seinfeld, right? You make the perfect joke and then you just leave, right? You don't overstay your welcome.
Don't know, Jerry. Don't know.
Something happened with my Discord. I had to restart. What
Uh,
happened?
yeah, Discord sucks. We all know it's bloatware, shitty bloatware.
Okay,
Nice.
so
Why is there a cat? A
well,
dirty one.
okay, that's Garfield, and you don't need to worry about Garfield right now because that's just the camera that you can see. The entire audience is still on the starting screen, the welcome screen, the screen that no one cares about.
Okay, for a moment I thought I was looking at Erica in that thing, but no, I just see this as a video.
Yeah, no, I wish I had two silver play buttons. I don't.
Wait, why did she have two silver play buttons? I thought they only sent one.
They ran
Probably
out of gold.
because they had two different channels make a
Oh,
million viewers or 100,000
pretty
viewers. I don't know.
pretty impressive.
Dude,
Anyways,
100,000 is like nothing.
well, we
It's a
still have
lot.
zero. We still have
Yeah.
zero.
Yes.
we've
People forget people forget just how many 100,000 is. Right? It's nothing to sneeze at. 100,000 of anything,
yeah,
except maybe atoms. Maybe all
it's
right, 100,000 atoms you can probably sneeze at.
it's about 99,980 more subscribers than we currently have, of which zero of them watch on a regular
Nice.
basis.
Fair
Nice.
enough.
Okay, that's enough with the self-loathing. Anyways, so we're talking about Illuminaughtii, not Illuminati,
Ooh.
Illuminaughtii.
What?
Um,
All right. So far, both of us have made that exact statement.
yes. So Illuminaughtii, like naughty, 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 shame on you. Illuminaughtii is a YouTube content creator who has for years been known as a a multi-level marketing scheme buster. And she's done a lot of content, but over the past 6 or so months, things have really taken a turn for her. Um,
Hmm.
so this entire saga started in the public view when she publicly accused Legal Eagle, an actual lawyer, of plagiarism. Um, one of Legal Eagle's video editors had one of his freelance editors had reached out to her asking how she did certain effects in whatever video editing software that she uses.
Hmm.
And instead of replying and being, a nice content creator, instead what she did was she went through Legal Eagle's videos and she accused him of plagiarizing uh two effects that are commonly used in a lot of videos, even in mainstream television. The one specifically that I remember is the ripping paper across the screen and then overlaying text. Uh, but after she did that, even though she apologized to Legal Eagle, things had already blown up. We've had people come out and speak out about the things she's been doing and accuse her of doing the exact same thing that she accused Legal Eagle of doing, plagiarizing.
Hmm.
And then it gets worse.
A lot worse.
Oh, a lot worse. We're talking she may have committed actual embezzlement. Um
Mm.
and if she did actually commit embezzlement, she's also committed coercion. She's also coerced someone into a forcible felony in
Mm.
conversion of embezzled funds.
Mm.
And
Interesting.
you'll understand what I mean by that when we get into this video. Now, uh, for I think 3 years, she dated another YouTuber who goes by the name of Oz Media on YouTube.
Hmm.
And Oz Media was under her thumb. She has recently filed for a uh, foreclosure on Oz Media's house. And the current speculation on why she's doing it is because she's not happy that he's speaking out against her.
I didn't know that individuals could foreclose on other individuals' houses. I thought that was a bank loan thing.
Well,
Um,
sort of, and you're gonna understand when we watch the video.
all right. And
So,
just before that, for those viewers who may not fully understand, could you briefly explain what the actual legal standard for embezzlement is, like what it is, and yeah, and why one might like what one must do to be convicted of it?
okay, so embezzlement in essence, is taking funds that are not yours and using them for things that they were not meant for. So in a business scheme, embezzlement can often involve using company funds for personal use.
All right. So,
Now,
like, imagine, for example, you have like a charity of sort that's supposed to be giving money away to people, and
mhm,
instead they spend that money on expensive dinners and like buying
Oof,
themselves cars.
that is pretty
Right?
bad.
Yeah, that would be embezzlement, correct?
correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's using charity money. Now, people
even worse.
who are on the boards of charity, they actually make salaries
Mhm.
and generally know not to use charity funds. Uh, though some people have been caught doing it. Thank you, NRA. Uh, anyways, so this is Oz Media, and of course, Molly brought up Garfield right over here, and
Yep.
I see a possum.
Ooh, it's a
It's a,
possum.
a rather fat Garfield, even by Garfield standards.
It may be a Serbian Garfield.
Hey,
Well,
fuck you.
is a fat cat.
Very true.
Okay, let's get into this video, and we will be commenting on it. Now, this is a 17.5 minute video, and chances are this is going to take over an hour for us to get through.
All right.
Howdy everyone, I'm Oz, in the flesh. No cartoon avatar this time. I'm making this because I'm giving an update to both my regular viewers and those who are here for something a bit more specific. To my regular viewers first, I hope this video can help explain where I've been over the last 3 years. For those who are here for the Illuminaughtii drama, I do have some news, and I'm making this video for full transparency, as I believe this is important in a situation like this. First and foremost, I need to make everyone aware, for reasons that I hope this update will make clear, for my safety, I need to put a short and temporary pause on production of my video on Illuminaughtii. The video will still, of course, be produced. I just need to put things on a lower burn and return to regular content for the time being, for many reasons. Some of them being the honest truth that I
I
can't
mean,
afford to
yeah, I
continue
guess
at this rate, both fiscally and physically. Illuminaughtii has taken this
it
to a
is
legal
adorable.
front, using the courts because of how poorly things went for her on the internet. As a reminder, for those of you unaware, Illuminaughtii started a fight with a lawyer on Twitter, accused him of copying her style, which then led to other content creators and past collaborators speaking out about their
Okay, so let's see. Not the Click, Wonderstruck, and One Topic at a Time. Uh, it looks like most of these are talking about a creator called Sad Milk. Or no, a collaboration group called Sad Milk.
Sad. I just need to ask this: why do these people never have normal names of things? Who the fuck wants to call your
Listen,
your group Sad Milk?
they're socialists, okay?
Fair enough.
There's no explanation to you know the absolute weirdness of these people.
Yeah, they just hate objective standards and therefore name themselves things that objectively are ugly and unesthetic.
Okay, here we go.
past interactions with her. Illuminaughtii is the one who took this off of Twitter and brought it onto YouTube, where she would then post a suicide note of one of her former employees for the world to see as an attempted own. Now, full transparency, I was one of the creators who spoke out against her, despite the fears and hesitations that I had.
Hold on.
I've put a lot of things.
We need to go
Now,
back.
full transparency, I was one of the
Okay, this is Oz Media's Twitter. I think it's time that I actually speak out on the current Twitter threads regarding Sad Milk in 2020 and 2021, I cannot express how scared I am to do this, the fear I have in my gut to even speak out. However, I do feel it's important to say my piece on this subject matter. And you'll understand why he's scared here in a few minutes.
Creators who spoke out against her, despite the fears and hesitations that I had. I've put a lot of things in my life on hold to produce this video, ending up with nearly 110 pages of a manuscript which details as much of what I can. And let me tell you something, converting this monstrosity into a video with its accompanying half-thousand screenshots has been one hell of a monumental task.
Did you guys see how long that video was?
Yes.
3 hours. Over 3 hours. There's the 30-minute mark. 1 hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. That is a disgustingly long video.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Adobe Premiere, still best video editing software. I see he uses the best.
Converting this monstrosity into a video with its accompanying half-thousand screenshots has been one hell of a monumental task for me, a one-person team, to embark on. I want to get everything right, or more of I need to, and I need to ensure that everyone's stories are factual, but to do so, I need to pump the brakes and not rush this out for the sake of being able to not stress about my next meal, or my next bill for that matter. Because of this, I need to, and more importantly, I want to, continue my regular content so I can afford to live day to day. There is another factor to all of this, a factor which Illuminaughtii has caused, or as I will be calling her throughout this video, Blair. For full transparency, which will be explored more in my future video, Blair and I dated. We were a couple for a decent chunk of time. This puts me in an ungodly complicated situation of doing everything that I can to try and separate the relationship drama from the public drama, as in the process of dating her, there are a lot of things which I bore witness to. Before anything else, I want to firmly state that this update is being made with the understanding that there is a likelihood that this will end up in a courtroom. I say this because things have been escalating quite a bit behind the scenes, and the stress has certainly been rising. What I can only describe as retaliation from the person who's my ex, former employer, and prior colleague, Blair is in the process of currently foreclosing my home. Because of this stress of Blair taking my home from me, I need to pump the brakes and change directions so I won't be homeless come Christmas. Because
Okay, so there it is where he's saying that she is foreclosing on his home.
All right. Does he go into detail about how that's possible?
He
Or why?
does. He
All right.
does. But we're, this is a 17.5-minute video.
Mhm.
And we're just still in his intro where he's talking about trying to separate everything out, his relationship from the shit that's happening in public.
Right.
And then including the relevant interpersonal relationship drama that she's holding over his head so that he won't speak out.
that's when Blair set my home to foreclose, right before Christmas. And yes, Blair has the power to set the foreclosure sale. This situation was a fear and hesitation that I had from the beginning, even telling Wonder as far back as April, a day before my thread went up, that I was mortified that if I spoke out against Blair or even dared to cross her, that she would retaliate with taking my home from me. When I did speak out, as many of you are aware, Blair sent me a cease and desist. A cease and desist, by the way, over a Twitter thread which she apologized for not only in her video, but as well as privately. Despite this, I persisted on working on my video.
Now, understand, a cease and desist has no actual legal power anywhere.
Right.
But it does serve as a warning in a lot of cases, for instance, a defamation case. But it does not serve as a warning in a foreclosure case.
Hmm.
If he was smart when he retains his lawyer, what he'll actually do is he'll file for bankruptcy.
Hmm.
Because as you'll see throughout the video, he is in financial ruin because of Blair.
Hmm.
And the only way for him to keep her from foreclosing is to declare bankruptcy, is to
You can
file for bankruptcy.
prevent your home from being foreclosed on by declaring bankruptcy.
Yeah, because even if a bank or a individual has a lien on it, what will happen is the courts want to go through your finances. They want to see all of your assets, and they're going to ask you to declare what you're declaring bankruptcy on.
Hmm.
There are two different types of bankruptcy that I've heard of, Chapter 7 and Chapter 11.
Right.
One is easy, it's quick, it gets rid of all of your assets, and a lot of times you don't have to pay anything on them once you declare them, but you still have to give up those assets.
Hmm.
At the end of the bankruptcy case, you still have to give them all up. Whereas in a Chapter 11, they take each asset individually and they see what you can do to save your assets.
Hmm.
Continuing the production of something which started as 20 pages, then slowly grew into the novel that it's become. Throughout this entire process, I had the fear that once I released this video, Blair would drop the hammer on me. I've lived the last 4 months of my life with the looming threat of Blair's retaliation, and truth being, from my understanding, she could have done this as early as June. As to why Blair waited so long, I'm honestly unsure. To me, it feels like Blair is taking every course of action that she can to prevent this video from being produced, from legal threats to trying to take my home, which wouldn't be surprising, considering Blair's alleged white-collar crimes I intend to expose with evidence within my video. Before any of this, however, I am taking the proper legal channels and speaking with the right people to elevate this down the needed path. Because of this, it would be unwise of me to reveal further information. I can only assume this is one of the reasons Blair is so determined to shut down my video's production. And to repeat myself from earlier, every word that I speak within this update is with the explicit understanding that this video may end up on the floor of a courtroom. In order for me to fight this, regular production of my content is needed to help fund the production of this said video. The reason why I'm making this update is so it's understood that I'm not just ignoring my obligations and responsibilities and suddenly hiding behind a flurry of videos in hopes that people will one day forget. The reason why this video has taken so much time as it has is not only am I a one-man team producing this, but I'm also continually uncovering more segments to the story and hearing more and more voices that come forward to speak their side of things. Interviews, questionnaires, screenshots, the works. All from a number of individuals. During this process, the video will continue to remain under production. I'm not stopping this because of her retaliation. While she did successfully give me pause, I do fully intend to complete this video. Now, let's talk about how Blair is.
I am in awe of this man's cojones. Um he's likely going to lose his house because there is no legal precedent that keeps a person from foreclosing on a house in retaliation. However, um if he does lose his house, because of retaliation, he gets to retaliate against her.
He does?
Oh, yeah, he will get to retaliate against her because the way in which she gets to foreclose on his house is not a lawful manner. I mean, her ability to foreclose on his house is not legal.
Oh. If it's not legal, then how can she do it?
It's not legal because there's a high likelihood that she embezzled funds. And those funds were converted into a loan. And he'll explain this.
Is even able to foreclose on me. What put her in a position of power beyond a landlord, a mortgagee, which in my eyes is something even worse. As a quick note, Blair's name is not on any of the original documents related to my home. I'm providing all of this information to give full context to the GoFundMe as I feel it's more than deserved, as honestly, I would feel guilty as hell putting the video on pause shortly after it hit its.
And for anyone and everyone, I don't care what this man's politics are. I say if you can donate. If you can do so, because Blair needs to be taken down.
It's worth noting. I just quickly pulled it up. It showed he had raised $6,000 by the time he made this video. Luckily, it's now up to 40,000.
Okay.
Hopefully, it continues its upward trajectory.
Yes, he's going to need many tens of thousands of dollars to successfully beat Blair over this. But I think it's possible. It really depends on the state that he's in. But given the fact that he... What?
To answer, it's Colorado.
Okay. So even then, given the fact that he has a lot of proof about what I've said about embezzlement, there's a high likelihood that Blair could go to jail for a long time.
Funding goal, followed by me just continuing to upload regular content without warning. More details will of course follow with the main video, as I do not have time to fully expand on everything. As I briefly stated previously, Blair and I dated. We started when I was 20 and she was 28. And currently, I'm 23.
Okay, so
He
maybe
was dating a cougar.
Yeah, no, cougars are over 40.
Oh.
So she was 28 and he was 20. Do you notice anything wrong with that?
One could say there's a bit of a power difference between them.
There's a huge power difference between them. And listen, that's not to say that an 8-year gap is a bad thing. I mean, me and Coda are 7.5 years apart in age. The difference being is she was already in her mid-20s when we started dating. And now she's in her late 20s and I'm in my mid-30s.
Yeah, the difference between mid-20s and the difference between mid-20s and I guess I'd assume early 30s when you two started dating, and the
Late
difference
20s.
between and the difference between early 20s and like 20, there's a different dynamic between those.
So the power difference comes in life experience. The more life experience that each individual in a couple has, the more acceptable that age gap is to be. So, for instance, I have no problem with a 30-year-old dating a 40-year-old. I have no problem with a 35-year-old dating a 50-year-old. Even though there's that 15-year age gap, it's more acceptable because they each have more life experience. But the youngest person is, the less life experience there is, and the less acceptable that age gap is.
Mhm.
By the time I turned 21, I would not date anyone younger than 21, which was why my first marriage failed, because I was already dating an 18-year-old when I was 20, and then I turned 21 and we got fucking married. And even though I wasn't uh, using my power or my life experience, the problem came that we were both extremely immature, and she was an abuser.
Hmm.
But age differences are more acceptable as you get older.
Mhm.
Once you reach 21, you shouldn't date anyone younger than 21. And that should be the marker up until your late 20s. And then once you're in your late 20s, that marker should be 25. And then once you're in your 30s, that marker should be 26, 27, maybe 28. We can continue to expand as those people grow older, but the age gap needs to stay small for the 20s.
Almost 24. In the beginning, Blair walked me into several poor financial decisions. My naivety caused me to believe her reassurances that I could handle all of the financial obligations being dropped onto my shoulders by someone more experienced in life than I was. Why these obligations were placed onto me? At the time, Blair had bad credit, so all of the purchases, loans, everything was being placed in my name. This included the
There's number one: coercion and financial abuse.
Mhm.
car that she purchased then revoked from Wonderstruck. I was on the loan as a cosigner only because of my credit at the time. Eventually, though, the financial responsibilities that I incurred would stack up on me, building a mountain of monthly debt that would lead me into several financially tight months and eventually just breaking. This would lead me to asking Blair, my partner, for financial help for things such as my home, which she was living in. Help from my partner, who at any given time would be making up to 30 times my monthly income.
So, for a quick uh a quick explanation, later on in the video, shortly here, um, he tells us that he makes about $2,500 a month.
Mhm.
That's not much money to live on.
Right.
But he says that Blair makes 30 times what he makes,
Mhm.
which is $75,000 a month.
Dang.
If you're making $75,000 a month,
How do you have bad credit?
exactly. There's no reason to have bad credit if you're making $75,000 a month.
Mhm.
Now, to put that in perspective, that's $900,000 a year. That's nearly $1 million a year.
Yeah.
I could pay all of my debts, and I can personally live off of 1 month of that salary.
Mhm.
I can live an entire year off of 1 month of that salary. My yearly income is $74,000 to $76,000.
Hmm.
The rest of that, $900,000, so $825,000, that can just go into savings, IRAs, 401ks, and investments.
Mhm.
She has bad credit. What the fuck is going on with her?
Obviously, many problems.
Okay,
Like,
let's continue.
These amounts of assistance would be added to a ledger of debt. And I want to clarify again. Blair wasn't my bank. She wasn't my landlord. She was my partner at this time. This ledger also includes things such as a non-refundable design fee and land deposit on a multi-million-dollar custom home that she threatened to break up with me if I didn't agree to proceed on this with her. As
Again, power difference.
Mm-hmm.
And, making $900,000 a year and wanting to build a multi-million-dollar home is not a bad thing. But if you are not married, then you should not be forcing someone that you're not married to co-sign a mortgage on a home,
Mm-hmm.
which is what she did. She forced him to co-sign a mortgage on a multi-million-dollar home.
Mm-hmm.
as well as other financial expenses that I honestly can't account for, nor even come close to this number when digging through my own finances. This ledger would creep into the range of $180,000, an insurmountable amount where I don't even understand how she got there. That number ballooned higher and higher, the number ever increasing, and I never questioned it out of guilt for needing help. Guilt from her telling everyone, from her friends to my friends to her employees to hell, even her Discord staff, about my finances.
Again, power difference.
Yep.
So if you are so involved with your partner, whether you're married or not, that you know about their finances, you should not be discussing your partner's finances with someone else. Your
Right.
partner's finances are between you and your partner.
Ooh.
Oh,
Hello,
hello,
Luna.
Luna.
I am so sorry. I am very late. I kind of just recently woke up.
Well,
It's
good morning
okay.
then.
Listen,
It's morning somewhere.
Luna, you have been admirably so, working extremely hard, and we're all proud of you for it.
Yes.
Hey, it's morning to me. I mean, technically, I would have woke up late due to the fact that I would have had to have started work. Like, if I did work today, I would have had to have started work almost an hour ago.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I know you've been working extremely hard, having 2 jobs and all. So,
No, only one.
oh, I thought you had 2.
No, just one.
So you quit the other one when you started the new one?
Yeah,
Okay.
Hmm.
Better
yeah.
pay
I
though.
would not be able to. Yeah, I would not be able to do both, seeing as it would basically be practically every wake, like every moment of my day.
You
Yeah,
recently got a new job?
Yeah, working over in a food production facility.
yeah,
Nice.
a few weeks
Like,
ago.
is that like a food production? Is that like I assume not. You don't mean like a restaurant or something, like a food processing
No,
facility? Like,
yes, like a chow factory.
ah,
Like they make like veggie burgers, veggie bacon, veggie sauce. They do a lot of plant-based food.
Ugh.
ah. So like stuff that like they're the ones making the food that like people buy at like grocery stores.
Yeah, like
Ah,
Walmart, Kroger, places like that.
I see.
The ones where you get like you buy the prepackaged foods that you can like either microwave or put in the oven, things like that.
Right.
Yeah, I deal with literally like we have like thousands of like packages of like packages of like 8 or more of foods. Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay, so Luna, have you done any research into Illuminaughtii at all?
Illuminaughtii. I've heard of them before.
Okay. Well,
This is Illuminaughtii spelled what is it like ILLU naughty like oh how
Yes.
naughty.
yeah.
Not the secret society, but the YouTuber.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm vaguely familiar with them. I'm pretty sure I've uh watched some like a video about them before.
Okay, so here's a quick rundown since we're in the middle of her
Stream.
ex-boyfriend's video. Um Illuminaughtii kind of burned her entire career to the ground earlier this year when she accused Legal Eagle of plagiarism.
Yeah, this is probably what I remember hearing.
And now she's been outed as someone who plagiarizes herself. And right now we're in the middle of her ex-boyfriend's video explaining that she is foreclosing on his house and she financially abused him throughout their entire relationship. And we're just about to get to the really good part, the part where I think she's going to be going to jail for quite a while.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah. So let's get back into this.
Let's get right
Oftentimes
into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Did. Guilt involving the fact that everyone I interacted with on a day-to-day basis looked down on me for her words towards me. My own partner, the person who was supposed to be my other half, was actively putting me in a position where she was chipping away at my mental health. I was afraid to tell anyone what was happening because she had convinced me that I was a parasite, that I...
This is the point at which most people would fucking break down and cry on camera. But he holds
You
it together.
you can see the like just in this little bit that I started, like you can see like and hear the pain that's going on in their minds right now.
I avoided telling anyone who could have helped me see what was happening out of fear of further confirmation, more eyes looking down on me.
Let me also catch you up on this, Luna. There is a major power difference between Blair, also known as Illuminaughtii, and Oz. Because at the point that they started dating, she was 28 and he was 20.
Okay.
And basically she drove him into major debt. And he believed that she had his best interest at heart because, 28 years old, you think they've got a little bit more life experience. And I even went over the numbers, and he's about to go into the numbers. But in a few minutes, he's going to tell us that he makes $2,500 a month. Or at the time, he was making $2,500 a month. And she was making 30 times that.
Oh wow, the
Per month.
2,800 a month. I barely even think that's like minimum wage.
$2,500 a month. She makes 30 times that. That's $75,000 a month. And earlier in the video, he tells us that she's got bad credit. If you're making $900,000 a year, there is no excuse, none, at the age of 28 to have bad credit.
Like I'm making nowhere near as much as that, but like looking at my credits, it's not the greatest, but it's in like a place where I'm even able to get it salvaged with like paying things off and things like that. Like,
Yeah.
how?
Stupid financial decisions. And now I know a lot of people aren't going to be appreciative of this, but when it comes to money, there are a lot of socialists or Marxists or communists on the left that don't understand anything when it comes to financial security.
You
And
mean all of them?
this is the space that these people live in. They don't understand financial security, which would kind of explain why she has bad credit and why she continues to drive herself and her partners into debt. There, like I said, there is no reason at $900,000 a year for you to have bad credit. I can live off of 1 month of this woman's salary. I can live an entire year off of 1 month of this woman's salary.
Yeah.
This is fucking ridiculous. Okay. Let's get back into it.
Something to note, when you're around Blair, your world revolves around her. In my case, my home was hers, despite her name not being on it. I had no friends out in Colorado, a state that I moved to at the behest of Blair. Only Blair's friends were out here. All of my connections had to be approved by her. I wasn't allowed to be friends with people she didn't like, such as Click in One Topic, or even Wonder, once that bridge was burned and reduced to cinders. I was even in a position where my finances were nearly entirely controlled by her, from what debts I took on to later being the fact that she was the person who signed my paychecks. All while my world was painted to me in a light where I should be grateful for her generosity.
Hmm.
It wasn't
That's
until
just
recently when I
emotional. That's just emotional abuser 101. And I've had the unfortunate pleasure of having seen many of these types of relationships.
Yep.
I've been
That's
in
not
these
just
types of relationships.
yeah, it's not just emotional, it's also financial abuse.
Yeah, she ran the gambit with this man's heart. Emotional, financial, I mean, to the point, and this is why I said cult of personality, because she isolated him. What do cults do? What do leaders of cults do? They isolate
Isolate.
individuals.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
throughout,
so you can't have anyone else outside of our little clique.
yeah,
And only people that I approve of are allowed to be part of said clique.
and that's what Blair has done over the years. Uh she's culminated followers, and the followers, there are a good number of them that just don't care. They will follow her to the ends of the earth. And that's again why I said cult of personality or just a narcissist. Which is it? Because narcissists do the same thing. They isolate you.
She sounds more just like a standard narcissist, in my opinion. One who just had a lot of money and power.
Yeah, but the difference is she was also a cult leader because she had a lot of power over a lot of people. She had a lot of people under her thumb.
Mhm.
explained my situation to my parents, my friends outside of Blair's control, that I began to understand just how perverse my life had become for nearly 3 years. And I want to add, I tried to pay Blair back in any way that I could, by the way. I felt indentured to her by this debt she had hanging over my head. Hell, I even took a position in her company at a lower pay to try and pay this debt back. Offered to work with her in her crypto farm for free to pay back the debt.
And now we get into indentured servitude. All the
Mhm.
while, she's been keeping a ledger of debt and hanging it over his head.
Anything that I could to try and make myself feel useful. While I worked for Blair's company, I helped improve it in any way that I could with my knowledge of how YouTube worked. I was able to assist in the push for Blair's channel to make the sudden and stark rise into a new payout range of 6 figures a month, all while I was being paid not even enough to get by with my monthly bills. And Blair was very aware of my finances. I sacrificed a lot of my time to try and recoup this debt while also trying to help save her channel. Because in 2021, due to personal and private reasons expressed to me by Blair, this would lead me to up and almost entirely abandon my channel throughout the year of 2022. More of this story later because there are more pieces. But this led to the end of 2022, where Blair would take advantage of not only my financial strife, but both my legal and financial illiteracy in December of that year. When I was 23 and Blair was nearly 31, Blair, with her lawyer, would create an honestly quite confusing legal document for me to sign where I would agree to pay back her debt. Blair, being the person who signed my checks, knew that I couldn't afford legal representation. Blair also knew that the $2,500 that she was having me pay monthly towards that debt was almost as much as I was making monthly working for her. This would mean that I could barely pay for anything else in my life other than the debt that I owed her. Everything I made working for her was going right back into her pocket. Blair would bring me to her lawyer's office, put me in a room alone with the two of them, with papers in front of me.
We're getting to the part where I think she's going to go away for a long time. She gonna go to jail.
Papers which I foolishly signed for a myriad of reasons, ranging from Blair expressing that this would mend our relationship, that it was the right thing for me to do, that this would also protect her legally and prevent her from getting into trouble with the IRS. She also would describe to me, and while I can't remember if this exact word was ever used, she essentially explained to me that because she used company funds to assist me, that she had committed embezzlement. And by converting the amount that I owed her into a loan with her company, this would save her skin legally.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. That's what's called conversion of embezzled funds.
Mm.
You're taking embezzled funds, you're putting them into a loan, but the problem is the embezzlement already took place.
Hmm.
You cannot convert embezzled funds into a legal a legal embezzlement. It doesn't work. The IRS, now that this is out, they're gonna have her.
Mm.
They will have her. And this is why I'm saying that the foreclosure itself, while she may be able to foreclose, the foreclosure itself is not legal.
All right, I just need to say something real quick. This video has put me into a very annoying situation where I first had to side with the that tool legal eagle, and now I'm having to side with the fucking IRS.
Yep.
God damn.
Yeah, how is the situation so messed up that we're like
I'm
actually
rooting for the
siding with the
IRS.
IRS?
Well,
Yeah.
it's listen, it's the same thing where I have this moral conundrum that I have to side with people that I genuinely dislike on a daily basis when they do something that I do like. For instance, Joe Biden had directed the FTC to push for what is it? Independent repair.
Mhm.
And
What is that?
Is this like with John Deere?
Well, John Deere, Apple, and all of these companies that make it so difficult for you to repair your own shit.
Right.
Yeah,
And Joe Biden pushed the FTC to do something, which they still haven't done.
of course.
But on top of that, At least he did something within his power, and he did something right within his power by directing an executive branch to
Was it
enforce
like
a
the right to
enforce a
repair? I think it's called.
yeah, right to repair. Thank you.
Mhm.
And anyone that watches Louis Rossman knows what this is all about. I dislike Biden, but he did something right by telling the FTC to enforce the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, which they're still not enforcing.
Mm.
But at least he did something within his power that he had the right to do,
Right.
and
Mm.
it was a good thing for him to do, even though it didn't do jack shit. But yeah, so we're rooting for we're rooting for Legal Eagle. We're rooting for the IRS, and I want both of them to go away.
At the same time, I'm also thinking of what is it? This scene from I think it's the Batman the animated series where like Joker inherits a lot of money, but it's like gonna be super taxed, and he's just like, and like I'm crazy enough to take on the Batman, but the IRS, no, thank you.
Now, to most people, that word may not have a lot of meaning. But to me, when I was 11, my mother was incarcerated for this exact crime, a remnant of the 2008 financial crisis. This taught me a very harsh lesson from an early age. But more importantly, Blair was aware of this past of mine. Whether this was used against me, I can't say for certain. But the idea of another person I loved being locked away, but this time for my actions, words cannot describe the guilt that I had.
And I want to make this clear, and I wish we could all make this clear to Oz here. They were not his actions. If she goes to jail for embezzlement, she's not going to jail for embezzlement for his actions. She's going to jail because she embezzled.
Mhm.
But that very mindset where he at the time felt that, you know, she would go to jail for his actions, that just shows how emotionally manipulative she was. Because he
Yeah.
thinks it's all his fault.
As I briefly stated earlier, Blair used this debt as a promise that this would specifically help mend our relationship, not our friendship, and put us on a better foot. It wouldn't be until a few weeks after signing that document that I would learn that she had already moved on, and had almost everyone in my daily life keep this fact a secret from me.
And there's coercion. She emotionally manipulated him into signing a contract for a loan that converted embezzled funds by telling him that it would fix their relationship, even though she had already moved on, and sunk her fucking claws into fresh meat.
Mm.
Forcible felony. Forcible felony does not have to be physical, it just has to be coercive.
Mm.
Blair used all of this, promises of reconciliation and other factors, which will soon be further elaborated on, as means to get me to sign a document known as a deed of trust. I wasn't aware of the power that this document held, what it does, what it allowed her to do. Again, I couldn't afford legal representation. She knew this. This document gave her the power to foreclose if I was unable to make a monthly payment of nearly $2,500 for nearly a decade. Blair knew that even with my income working for her, that this wasn't possible. So, it feels as though she knew that I would be destined to fall behind, that this outcome was inevitable. If the home is foreclosed or if I decide to sell, Blair gets an immediate payout, and it's because of this that I'm hesitant to take the easy way out. There's also the fact that there's just not enough equity in the home. That if this were to foreclose upon, Blair would still be out money, and she could then sue me further to get that money back. If you're looking for an easy point of evidence, as you can see with Wonder, Blair has a habit of taking advantage of younger men, 8 years younger than her, and their financial illiteracy for her own personal gain. Originally, I assumed that I would have the video produced by now, but unfortunately, I overestimated my abilities and also had to deal with the legal and financial stress which followed. It's obvious to me that I need to focus on myself and not destroy my well-being for this video. This, of course, leads me to the GoFundMe. Not a penny of what has been raised will be used to repay Blair. I will be using the aid given for legal fees and only necessary expenses. The purpose is to aid me in potentially breaking out of what I can only call a manipulative situation with several lanes of legal red tape in front of me. This money will be used to secure a legal retainer and any legal cost, and once and only once the legal front is secured, will I use the funding to help with monthly finances related to securing my home.
Now, as for the lawyer or the legal retainer that he needs, I'm hoping that once he gets that legal retainer and he tells the lawyer his story, that lawyer immediately goes to the IRS. Because when all is said and done, this man's house is going to be paid off. He'll be free and clear of any mortgage debt. The only thing he's going to have to pay on the house from year to year is fucking property taxes. Because there are a lot of damages. She committed fraud. She committed embezzlement. She tried to convert embezzled funds into someone else's name under a loan. And she put it all in a trust. She has committed so many financially illegal crimes in the US. This woman is going to jail. That is, of course, if everything he's saying is true. And I have some doubts until, we get evidence. But he's also being smart and not putting the evidence out.
Right.
When this does eventually go to a court, I'm going to follow that like no other.
I'm curious though, why is it legally wise not to put the evidence out? Is it like how does that hurt one's case? Because I hear that a lot in various legal cases.
So whether it's in a criminal case or in a civil case, you have your plaintiff or your prosecution, and then you have the defense. The prosecution has to give all of the evidence that they have to the defense. In this case, in a foreclosure case, the plaintiff would be Illuminaughtii. He would be the defense. He doesn't have to give them anything unless the judge grants what's called discovery.
Right.
But
I thought I thought discovery was just like the first phase of a trial. I didn't know there were times when it wasn't granted.
Oh, there are tons of times when it's not granted. For instance, in a criminal case, discovery goes both ways.
Right.
And there are certain things that prosecution may not want a defense attorney to find out about their witnesses. And there's there's certain reasons why in a criminal case we have laws about not bringing up, say, past sexual conduct of a witness.
Mm-hmm.
And so discovery on certain grounds can be denied.
All right.
But if he's not putting the evidence out until the case starts, he severely weakens the plaintiff's position when they bring the case.
Hmm.
And so as long as he holds on to those documents until the case starts, he's in a good legal position.
I see.
Finances, which are not tied to Blair in any way. I also want to add that I'm not trying to escape any debt that I may rightfully owe Blair. I just don't want to fucking lose my home or lose it from retaliation.
And of course, a retaliatory foreclosure is legal. But in this case, this foreclosure isn't legal because it's fucking embezzled money.
So you can't foreclose on someone who you have used to embezzle money.
Yeah. And this is all legal theory, and of course I'm not a lawyer, so don't take this as legal advice. But
That's just a theory.
when you coerce someone into committing a felony, which she did, she coerced him into converting embezzled funds. The person who has been coerced into this is not going to be held legally liable for that embezzled money.
Oh.
And what's going to happen is the IRS is going to knock on her door. They're going to have a subpoena for her financial statements for her business, her personal bank account, all of that. They're going to run over it with a fine-tooth comb by a forensic auditor. And they're going to find out that the money was spent before the funds were converted into this loan. Now, if she had done it the right way and converted it like made the loan documents, made the trust and the loan documents before any money was transferred, it would be legal. But she embezzled the money first, and then she made the legal document. There's an order issue here.
For further future transparency, I intend to provide updates with my GoFundMe, which will include progress updates and invoices when applicable. I intend to be as transparent as I legally can throughout all of this, and of course, I wanted to thank everyone for their patience with me, and I felt that this update was more than deserved for everyone who's been here so far. Thank you all. Also, she took the furniture.
She took the furniture.
Damn.
Yeah.
Monster.
That woman is vindictive.
Yep.
She does anything and everything she can to ruin people.
That she does.
Okay. So any final comments on Illuminaughtii? Bueller?
For once, I hope the IRS fucks someone over, and that someone is her.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's like how bad do you have to be in order for me to be rooting for that fucking IRS?
Yeah, awful. Frankly, terrible. Sorry, was someone about to say something?
No, I'm about to go into your Catholic apologist
Ah, yes.
tweet. Did you see this, Luna?
I don't know if I did.
Alright, it's
We doing
definitely
Catholic,
interesting.
Okay.
we doing
so-
Catholic apology now? Oh jeez.
Well, a Catholic being an apologist for something, not necessarily Catholicism in this, but an apologist for something, all right.
Okay, so this is just the end of this interaction. And I will go up to explain the context. But basically, Dale called someone a Catholic rape apologist.
Yes,
And
because they were being a Catholic rape apologist.
and we'll get into more context. This man, Hefner Career Transition Coaching. I don't know what the fuck this person does, but they have some of the worst takes. You know what I don't see? You flying over to Moscow to protest the treatment. Why is that? I'm guessing it's easier to be offended behind a screen and cry for justice than go to somewhere where you put your own ass on the line.
Yes. Now, what was this person replying to? Yeah. All right.
Did you read the article? They weren't convicted of any crime. They were kidnapped and forced into a quote-unquote clinic that claims it can change a person's gender identity via corrective rape.
Just keeps getting worse.
This is gonna get worse. This is a guy in a Russian prison. One doesn't have any special rights in Russian prisons.
Now we get to what the actual thing was about.
Trans woman forced to castrate a pig in Russian conversion camp. Trans woman forced to castrate a pig in Russian conversion camp. A Russian trans woman was forced to undergo conversion therapy after her parents claimed she was poisoned by the devil.
Yes. And just to give you a brief summary, this person who at the time was out, and because of that was kind of distant from their parents, up until their mother told them that she was having like heart issues or something. It was basically near death. So, she decided to go visit her mother and like help try to take care of her, take her to the hospital. So her mother, her and her father get into a car, and they initially say they're going to take her to the hospital, but then they veer off into like the woods or something, where some stranger then gets in the car, and they all forcibly take her to this quote unquote clinic to detrans her. And one of the things this clinic advertised was that it can change people's gender identity via many methods, one of which just happens to include corrective rape. So, obviously, the person who this Hefner guy did not read the article, just assumed that there was some person in some prison somewhere. And as soon as I point that out, what do? What do? They say, "Oh, well, it's so easy to complain about that beside the screen. Why don't you go? Why don't you go to Moscow and fix it yourself?"
Listen, Mr. Hefner, I know you're not Hugh. I have great admiration for that man. Mr. Hefner, I have spent a few months overseas in a country that treats people very poorly. And that's a third world country. That's a country in which there's no way for even a military force to really change anything with the political structure. Now we move into Russia. I don't want to go to Russia. I don't. I don't want to fight the Russians. I sincerely don't want to fight the Russians. I don't want to fight the Ukrainians. These people will fuck you up. Now, if there's anyone I fear more than Russians or Ukrainians, it's fucking Georgians, because those motherfuckers are crazy. But still, telling someone else to jump on a plane and go do something in Moscow when you yourself are not willing to do something that you're going to stand up for is kind of bullshit. Now,
He wasn't even willing to read the article he was complaining about.
yeah. So, this is another tweet from our esteemed host, Dale. It says, to everyone who is condoning this, the article, which you clearly have not read, claims that people who have not been convicted of any crimes are being kidnapped and forced into clinics that advertise that they can change someone's gender identity via corrective rape. Do you support corrective rape? If so, please repent. And again, I am not Christian. I have no theistic belief system. I just don't believe that you can do therapy via corrective rape. I don't think it's possible.
Nope.
I would like to say though that I think therapy via rape would probably make a good death metal album or song title. But other than that, no.
God damn it, Dale.
It would.
Therapy, but what are you trying to come up with? Like a new album for fucking Cannibal Corpse or something?
Probably.
Conversion therapy. That'll be one of the songs. These people give me a headache. First Blair, now this crap. My head hurts, and I swear it's not from the off-gassing from the polymerization of the cast iron today. Because I didn't have a headache until right now.
Dealing with one asshole after another. It can have that effect.
Okay, so that is that. Let's go ahead and shut this off for a second now. Who
Sorry?
wants to
Why is
talk
this-
about food?
what? I was gonna say, why is this stream just unattractive assholes?
Yep.
Let's see. No, don't want to put that there. Want to put it there. So I made rolls today. I made sandwich rolls today. And I tried a different recipe.
Alright, so for those unaware, what is your standard sandwich roll recipe and what variation did you attempt today of said recipe?
So my standard sandwich roll recipe is 600 grams of flour, 18 grams of sugar, 12 grams of salt, 30 grams of olive oil, and then I can never remember the water content, but it's 65%. 100 times 0.5, 390 grams of water.
Hmm. And is
This
that extra virgin olive oil or just standard olive oil?
it's just standard olive oil. I don't use extra virgin shit.
Understandable.
Okay, so no, no. Didn't come up. There we go. These are my rolls for today.
Rolls.
And instead of adding oil and water, I just used straight milk. So,
Because that's how she rolls.
you know, the yeast content, the flour, the sugar, the salt, it's all the same. But instead of oil and water, I added milk, and I added the exact same percentage that I would in water. So 390 grams of milk, and this is how they turned out. I don't think they turned out bad.
Yeah, they do look good. For the salt, I'm just curious. Can you use any type of salt, or do you have to use the more like finely ground salt? Like
You
I have a bunch of kosher salt. Can you use that, or do you have to
uh,
use more table salt?
you can use like flaky kosher salt,
Mm-hmm.
but ideally what you want to use is granulated non-iodized salt.
Oh, non-iodized.
Oh, so wait,
Non-iodized.
so these rolls won't help you prevent radiation poisoning?
Not ionized.
Why don't you want iodized salt?
Because it messes with the yeast.
Oh,
It will kill off yeast, and you don't want it to kill off yeast.
right.
The salt itself is there for flavor of the bread.
Right.
Um Now the difference in using flaky salt and granulated salt is where you mix it in.
Mm-hmm.
If you use the flaky salt, you need to dissolve it into the water first.
Right.
If you use the granulated salt, the granulated non-iodized salt, you can simply whisk all of the dry ingredients together
Mm-hmm.
and then add your wet ingredients.
Right.
Um, and so this roll, uh, the first to last on the right, on the top, that was the first one to come out of the oven.
Hmm.
And there wasn't much spring to it because I hadn't let it sit long enough to proof, which is
Mm-hmm.
what uh me and you and Z were talking about before the stream started. Proofing
Right.
bread is an important part of making bread. But this one on the left, the one on the right, and the one on the bottom, those ones were properly proofed by the time they went into the oven.
Hmm.
And you can see it by how big they expanded out.
Yeah.
Uh and then I had mentioned that I tried uh the cinnamon rolls last week. and
Mhm.
they did not hold together.
They didn't.
They did not. And I know where I made the mistake. So tomorrow there will be uh another set of cinnamon rolls,
Right.
another
What was
trial
the
at it.
mistake you made?
So I used too much of the filling in the cinnamon rolls,
Mhm.
and so the the dough didn't actually stick together,
Mm.
and so it just unraveled and dropped all of the brown sugar into the bottom of the pan, and all of the molasses just caramelized on the bottom.
All right. Hmm. So do you know what so do you have a plan so far for what to do for the next attempt?
Oh yeah, yeah. So that was another dough that used nothing but milk.
Hmm.
This time I'm going to use milk, oil, and butter.
Hmm. Do
On
you
top.
use salted or unsalted butter?
When you make bread, you should use unsalted butter,
Right.
but generally using salted butter doesn't really change much
Mhm.
because there's not much salt in it to begin with.
That's true.
And so adding salted butter to a recipe really only increases the uh, salt content by about
Sodium.
1%.
Mhm.
Because generally
That
you want
sounds
to keep
good.
salt content in a bread dough to anywhere from 0 to 2%,
Hmm.
but you can go as high as 3 or 4%.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm assuming it'd probably be higher in like say like pretzel bread or something that tends to be rather salty.
No, the salt in pretzels comes after the
Mm.
baking.
Ah, so they just
Yeah.
salt the finished product basically.
Yes.
Hmm.
I
Pretzels come from more baking soda.
Yes.
well, yeah. They actually come from lye.
Yeah. I believe we actually discussed this in I think
Yeah,
either the
we
last episode or the
we
second to last episode.
we discussed it last week.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's there's sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, and then there's sodium hydroxide, which is lye. And you can make
mhm,
lye from sodium bicarbonate by baking it at 400 degrees. Um,
mhm.
the difference between the two is how caustic it is to biological matter.
Yeah. As we all know, lye can dissolve bodies if wet.
Nice. Isn't lye bad for clothes?
It dissolves people, so I would assume it's not good for clothes either.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Don't get any ideas, Molly.
it's it's a very strong base.
Based.
Extremely strong base.
Based.
But what happens with making pretzels is you drop the pretzels in and soak them for like 10 seconds in a water bath that has like 1% lye in it, and that lye will coat the skin of the dough in itself, and then you immediately transfer it into the oven, and that's where that nice brown shiny skin comes from when you look at a pretzel.
Mhm.
And
I know
that's all.
that the pizza place that I worked at, we had a pretzel crust pizza. What we would do was just brush on just baking soda onto it before putting it into the oven.
Yeah, that that'll work. It's not as
Mhm.
efficient, but it'll work.
Yeah.
because the baking soda has to go through 2 steps. It has to become lye, and then it has to actually do the chemical conversion on the skin of the dough.
Yeah. Though, as far as like the whole turning into lye, of course, we were putting it through pizza ovens, so those things can get quite toasty.
Yes.
That they can.
I'm guessing about 800 to 900 degrees Fahrenheit.
Mm.
I don't remember the exact temperature. It's been like 3-4 years since I worked there.
Well, what kind of pizzas were y'all making? New York style pan pizzas.
It was a Little Caesars.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
What do they tend to make?
They make pan
So they have,
pizzas.
pan pizzas and Detroit style pizzas.
And Detroit, what would Detroit style again?
It's kind of a combination between a pan and like a deep dish where it's a or it's a thick dough, like a very thick dough, where then they put the sauce and cheese on top of that.
Okay, so
right.
Detroit style and Buffalo style are almost exactly the same. They're all baked in a blue steel pan. And what happens is the order in which you put on the toppings is different. So in a Detroit style pizza, the first thing to go on is the Wisconsin brick cheese. You put that on, then you add 2 or 3 lines of your pizza sauce, and then you add your toppings on top of it. Whereas in Buffalo style, which is more closely similar to the Little Caesars deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
You put the sauce on, you put the cheese on, and then you put the toppings on.
It really is, which is kind of funny because of the fact that Little Caesars is from the Detroit area.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, their like headquarters is located in Detroit. They own the Detroit Tigers Stadium, even. But yeah, the guy who created it is from like just outside of Detroit. It's actually I don't know if any of you know the story as to why it got the name is actually really adorable.
No, what is it?
So, excuse me, the guy who founded Little Caesars, that was actually his wife's nickname for him. He was her Little Caesar.
Aw, that's
That
cool.
is nice.
Disgusting.
He passed. He passed away maybe 10, 15 years ago, but his wife is still around and does like goes to various like corporate events and things.
Right.
And we will show
It's
this
too
again.
boot.
Because of that, just keep moving and she rolls.
Let's see.
If you move, she moves. And if you stop,
Yeah, I remember
There we
that
go.
because in order to become an assistant manager, I actually had to like do like a big old test thing where part of it was literally like the history of the company.
So, pan pizza. This is a pan pizza.
Yeah.
Looks
Or
pretty good.
Red Barons calls this a deep dish style pizza.
It doesn't look very deep dish.
No,
It's
it's
Not very.
actually like a Chicago deep dish, I think.
no.
Right?
No. Chicago
No.
deep dish is significantly deeper.
Chicago is very different. It's
yeah.
much more of a pizza pie.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's.
I mean, we had a big pizza and that looked similar to it. Well, not really, but yeah.
So the majority of the ways that I've seen Detroit style, or not Detroit, Chicago style made is you have your dough that goes into a pan. It's like up over the rim, and then you put in the sauce, depending on the place, they might put in a bit more dough on top of the sauce, but then it's cheese on top of that. Wait, no, it's
All right.
on no, it's cheese
Here's
first and then salt.
This is how one of the
Here's
most famous
Big
Geno's.
pizzas in the world
so
is made.
it's cheese first, obviously, as far as Chicago style goes, and then on top of that, you have your sauce, and then toppings, which is where the whole thing of like this one, I think it was a vine of the guy going like that's not enough cheese, not enough like that's not enough cheese, and the guy walking was like the cheese is under the sauce, the cheese is under
So
the sauce.
so this is Geno's Pizza in Chicago, and it's very similar to Uno's, which is also in Chicago.
Made. This is a Chicago deep dish pizza from Geno's East. They won't tell anyone why their crust is golden hued, and they layer the bottom with
I can tell you why it's golden hued. It's because it's got a lot of butter.
Ugh.
loads of fresh mozzarella. And because sausage is the most popular topping in Chicago, they start with a giant ball of sausage, flatten it out to form one sheet, and then it goes on top of the mozzarella. This ensures that every bite is exactly the same. Geno's East is one of the original creators of deep dish pizza, dating back almost 100 years. After the sausage is evenly distributed and pressed in, it is all covered with a rich house-made marinara sauce. These pizzas are nearly 10 pounds when they're done cooking. They have to cook for 45 minutes to make sure they're done all the way through. And because all that sauce is on top, a specially trained chef has to flip the pizza out of the pan to keep it from spilling. And you're going to want to see this cheese pull. Would you try it? Details and comments. Follow us to see more.
That is a pizza pie.
It's 5 a.m. We literally have to
Yes. Looks pretty good. But I still prefer New York style pizza.
Of course you do.
I mean, I do as well.
I am a lover of all types of pizza.
Yeah.
I like a nice big slice that you can fold and just like.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what they say about pizza, don't you? You know the famous joke, don't you?
What?
That even when pizza is like sex, even when it's not very good, it's still pretty good.
No, I can make the large slice at home, but I gotta waste most of the pizza.
Except with the one exception to that being Serbian pizza. Serbian pizza, when bad, is bad.
Oh, but
You're bad.
but
No.
yesterday I made breadsticks. Or no, it wasn't yesterday. It was Thursday. I made breadsticks, and basically, it's just my pan pizza dough. Like I've got my pizza dough. I put it in. I top it with a crap ton of cheese.
Mhm.
I put on Italian seasoning, and then I drench the top in olive oil, and I bake it, and it is awesome.
Nice. I need to get some decent food into my belly. As I guarantee it'll make like all of you cringe. But since working this job, pretty much my diet has been energy drinks, Gatorade, like combos, and like beef jerky and like Wendy's chicken nuggets.
Mm.
Z, I can make calzones.
I've never actually had a calzone.
Calzone
What exactly is it?
Really?
It's like no, never had a calzone.
think
Inside out pizza.
yeah, think
Yeah.
a pizza pocket, like a hot
Oh.
pocket, but it doesn't
Right.
have the sauce in it. The sauce is outside of it.
Ah.
And instead of a
No,
flaky
what?
crust, it's just the pizza crust.
Huh.
So you've got all of your
guys
toppings,
have
your cheese, your pepperoni, sausage, whatever you'd put on a pizza, except for the sauce.
Hmm.
6:24.
You guys have a weird count zone.
How so?
I don't know. I think it's different here. I'm not sure though.
All right. So what did Serbia do to the calzones? I know what it did to
Basically, you
pizza.
take the pizza and you just fold it over into like a half. You know, and like everything's inside. There's nothing outside.
Yes, but here's
like a
the
pocket.
question: was the pizza already made before you flipped it over?
No,
Okay.
no, you don't do it like that. No.
Well, it's
All right. Was the pizza made with marinara or ketchup?
Marinara.
Oh, all right.
God, why did we have to ask if it was made with marinara or ketchup?
because Serbians
pizza
make
is
pizza
known
with
from-
ketchup.
No,
They
it's
make.
not. No.
You're the one who told me this initially, Molly. I had to
In
explain
my
to you that
town, yes.
I had to explain to you that ketchup was not the sauce they use on pizza.
Yeah, I know.
And then we went to a pizza place and it was ketchup and it was terrible.
Actually, come here.
That
The
no.
funny part is like those are rare here now.
Ketchup
Debatable.
only belongs on top of a meatloaf before you put it in the oven.
So this whole place like holds NPCs and shit that do.
Oh, let me see. Oh, this one. So, when I had first started on my pizza making journey and had gotten fed up with trying trying New York style pizza because I just couldn't get it stretch without ripping, this is what I made.
Well, it sounds like you didn't flap it enough in order for it to get gluten.
Well, I didn't know how to stretch dough properly back then.
I want to get it.
Now I can get dough extremely thin.
That's good.
Oh my god.
Have you ever tried to make a Neapolitan style pizza?
No, and I will never make a Neapolitan style pizza.
Don't like them?
No, I don't have the heat for it.
Oh, it needs to be a lot more heated.
You need to bake it anywhere from 850 to 940 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, dang.
A Neapolitan style pizza is meant to be baked extremely fast. Otherwise, the oils and the fats in the cheese will separate, and you don't want them to separate.
All right.
Whereas,
Fun fact.
yeah.
Today. Oh, you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say like today I made a pizza from like integral wheat, and it's rather interesting. It's like less like sticky. It comes out more like cement. And it's a bit hard when you like bake it.
It's because it has a higher protein content in the flour.
Yeah.
The lower the protein content and the higher the hydration level, the more sticky it's going to be. The higher the protein content, even with a higher hydration, the less sticky it's going to be. But even some of the highest protein levels, once you push to like that 90% hydration, it's gonna get sticky.
Yeah. Do you tend to make yours with lower protein levels or
No,
higher protein levels?
so I use King Arthur's bread dough,
Mhm.
and that's generally about 12 to 13% protein. That's another one of my pan pizzas that I've made.
How high would you say the protein content can go up in higher protein doughs
Uh,
or
I've
flours?
seen I've seen protein content go as high as 16%,
Hmm.
but I generally stay away from it.
Right.
What? You're not bulking?
That's my New York style pizza, without being big slices.
Not bad. And it's just pepperoni, or was there anything under as well?
It was just pepperoni.
Hmm.
That was one of my first successful New York style pizzas.
Very nice. Personally, pepperoni is one of the few toppings I really don't like on pizza, which is a very unpopular opinion amongst pizza fans, it seems.
So I had mentioned last week that I got a deli slicer for the house,
Mm-hmm.
and I sliced up a loaf of bread with it, and
I didn't know
then
you could slice up bread with a deli slicer. I thought it was just for meat.
you can absolutely slice up bread with a deli slicer.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you hitting? Coda is hitting me. She's hitting my shoulder because I'm assuming she wants attention. You're right. And she says I'm right. And now the nugget is upset with her because she's hitting me. Look what you started. I didn't start that, you started it. Okay, so we are 6 minutes away from the end of the episode, and she's still hitting me.
We've been asleep all day. Don't worry about it.
Beat her up. Attack.
Pretzel buns.
Revenge, Coda.
Yeah,
Pretzel.
Coda, I thought you were past the hitting on stage.
Luna says she thought you were past the hitting on stage.
Never too old to hit on your wife. Just be glad I'm not one of those people who wears a wife beater.
Ow. Okay, that's starting to hurt, baby. That's starting to hurt.
I'm gonna get that soon.
Please stop.
You know it hurts?
What?
Our bed. Our bed
Okay.
hurts.
Okay, she's saying our bed hurts. Pretzel buns.
Look at those little horns. They're little devil buns.
I love pretzel buns.
I know, but look at those horns.
Yeah, well, that's because I cut it with scissors.
He's got horns.
You cut it with scissors?
Yeah.
Huh. Why scissors?
Because it was the easiest thing to cut dough with at the time. I didn't have a serrated knife.
You
No
can't use
razor blade have an ass.
You can't use a normal knife?
No, it's too wet.
Hmm.
Really?
It's not going. What?
Really?
What?
Too wet?
Oh, shush.
Really?
When you try to take a normal knife to bread dough and it's wet on the outside, it will not cut.
It has to be exceptionally sharp to cut wet
Yeah,
dough.
it has to be exceptionally sharp. Which is why I had initially bought whetstones so that I can in fact
No razor blade have an ass.
no razor blade, but I would prefer a self-sharpened knife to we've already got this. It's the exact same picture. What the fuck? Okay. It gets sharper than a razor blade. Oh, this is one of the pizzas before it was cooked.
Oh, that looks amazing.
Great. Now you're just wanting me. Now you're just making me want pizza.
Me too.
Forbidden pizza.
Well, that is honestly the aim, is for everyone to want pizza all the time.
Nice.
Because there are so many
You're gonna make
things.
my. You're gonna expand my diet to include to outside of work be Wendy's chicken nuggets and then pizza.
Make pizza at home.
Yeah.
I have a dough recipe that works for everything. All types of pizza. It makes great New York style pizza. It makes great pan pizza.
Damn right.
It makes a great calzone dough. The only difference between all of it is the baking method. Okay. So, if anyone wants those recipes, hit me up. I will drop them in the server. No, it costs no money currently. I will, however, be making a cookbook for people to buy eventually.
Low payment of $100 for
At
fries.
that, it is time
What would it be
for...
called?
Huh?
What would it be called?
I don't know. I'll take suggestions. With that all being said, it is now time for everyone to say good night. We will start with Molly. Say good night, Molly.
Nighty night, Molly. Sleep well.
Are you having trouble sleeping, Molly?
Yes, I sleep only 6 hours a day.
Well, so do I.
No,
Join
about
the club.
4 to 6 hours a day. Yeah.
Okay. And our resident from the state that doesn't exist, Luna. Say good night, Luna.
Good night. Hey, if I don't exist, can you truly prove that I was late?
No, I cannot.
Yes,
And then
it's
we
all
have
written in the
our
Bible.
and then we have our resident Kanakistani from the Soviet state of Kanakistan, Dale, the dirty Frenchy Frenchman. Say good night, Dale.
I do feel the need to point out I'm from Quebec, not Canada. Some people will know what I'm talking about, and with that, have a good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Quebec is still
I like how
fucking
you
Canada.
said that.
Adieu.
Anyways, that is all for tonight. Thank you very much, everyone. We will see you all later.